Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and in today's episode I'm joined by Luke from eReprice, and we're going to find out a little bit more about Luke and his journey as well as what eReprice is. So with that said, Luke, thank you for joining me here today, and who are you and what do you do?
No problem at all, Dave. I'm Luke Billyard, Managing Director of eReprice.com. We're an Amazon marketplace repricer, and we're hoping to add eBay in the sort of coming months.
Cool. Because again, that's having eBay repricers it's still quite a new thing, isn't it? Not a lot of people are doing it right now, and for some people it was impossible years ago. So yeah, really sort of cutting edge stuff, really.
Yeah, that's it. It's sort of the I used to use the upcoming marketplace at eBay. You know, it's kind of I know it's been there for a long time, but
upcoming marketplace for 20 years.
People are starting to sort of use the tools a lot more with it. I think is probably the way I'm going at sort of thing. So yeah, a reprice for eBay I think is going to help a lot of merchants, sort of increase their sales, which should be good.
Cool. So, Luke, I ask this question to everyone who comes on this channel: is when did you first realise that you were entrepreneurial?
I think I first realised when I was at school. I was that kid that sort of didn't know what he wanted to do. Always had that idea of I want to work for myself, and had great ideas when I was at school. Sort of selling the sweets and this sort of things. And I've always all I wanted to do. And when I left school, I went into into retail. So I started from working in a small shop, electrical shop, going all the way up to working to B2B for large IT companies. It's never left me, that entrepreneurial spirit of creating something that's was the best in its field, really.
Yeah. I guess as well, it sounds like we led a very similar sort of life. You dabbed your toe into the employee waters, and was it a little bit restrictive?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those that you kind of, which we all feel this, I think, is that when you're working for somebody else and you have your own ideas and they just won't even sort of entertain them. Exactly. And you get to that point, you think, you know what, I can do this better. And that's kind of where it all began. The journey began. Yeah, no,
it is interesting to see how many people sort of went along those same lines. So we met a few months ago now back at the IRX event in Birmingham, and straight away when we were talking, you told me some stories about what you'd done in the past. So what was the first business that you actually brought to life outside of school stuff? Selling sweets and Pokemon cards. And all that.
So I think I know when I left work, so I sort of worked in B2B. I went into a merchant. I became an Amazon merchant.
Right.
A lot of people have been watching. Sort of going on there, we were selling electronic goods, sort of doing the drop shipping sort of way. We did that, did really well. Did some great sales. I think over time, with sort of going from B2B to B2C, I think I was a bit like, well, I'm not really too sure if B2C is for me personally. Sort of dealing with customers day in, day out, not being able to build a relationship with people. I think that's what I missed the most.
Yeah.
So went down a slightly different route, which always makes you laugh, was we went to, I started a zombie survival experience.
I do love this story.
Which is sort of slightly different to both B2B and B2C, you could probably argue.
B to Z.
A to Z, yeah. So basically, for that, sort of people came to us. We had these abandoned buildings. People would run around with sort of airsoft guns, BB guns, and the zombies would try and get them, and then they'd have to sort of shoot the zombies and complete missions. So, that was kind of a bit of a change from what we were doing, sort of on the sort of online version to real world, or sort of using the word real world quite loosely, sort of zombie apocalypses.
I guess that gave you a big switch then, because again, we think about selling on Amazon, the marketing is still there, but Amazon do a large part of it for you. So how did you make that switch with the zombie stuff? Because obviously that's just you. You're not selling a product. It's now like a service. Would you call it? I don't know.
No, yeah, exactly that. I think as we've all tried the sort of the social marketing, and I am a believer in sort of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think it's a great tool, but I think the one thing that we all struggle with is if you don't have engaging content, it becomes very hard for without spending a lot of money to actually get that engagement. Luckily with the zombie business, because at that time we were one of the first companies in the UK to be doing that.
Yeah.
Everything sort of went viral to a degree. Our first video got something like 500,000 views.
Wow.
It kind of, the marketing kind of did itself. So once we created the idea and the concept, it promoted itself to a degree.
Fantastic.
Which was a great.
I guess you were riding the Walking Dead wave at the time as well.
Exactly, yeah. I think it was kind of like season 2 of Walking Dead, so it was kind of getting into this really popular state as it is now. It's just continued.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of movies came out, a lot of zombie, like was it World War Z came out. So we kind of, once again, we sort of jumped onto that bandwagon as well in the marketing, and it worked really well. And I think that sort of towards the end of the business before we sold it, as we're all aware, sometimes certain projects sort of have a sell-by date. Personally, I think the zombie thing, I'd enjoyed my time there. It wasn't overly scalable, and I think that was the thing that kind of was the final sort of decision to move on from it. But yeah, so the zombie uprising.co.uk is what it's called. It's still going. The guy who runs it's great. So if any of you fancy shooting some zombies as a bit of stress relief, I'd highly recommend it.
Brilliant. No, I love that. As soon as you told me that when we first, I was like, if you can monetize zombies, then you're onto a winner.
That's exactly. Doesn't like zombies, eh?
Yeah, exactly. So from the zombies, and so sort of that journey's now led you to eReprice. Quite different. Sorry, not similar at all. Quite different ideas. So what is eReprice and what does it do? Where did the idea come from for that?
So eReprice is currently an Amazon repricer. So we manage Amazon sellers' inventory pricing. So we kind of set a merchant would come on board with us. They would set a minimum and a maximum price for each of their listings, and then we adjust that price between those two parameters to make that product the most competitive. When you create your eReprice account, you have to build a strategy. So that's kind of what we're going to use to actually use to price, sort of to help you win that buy box. One thing that sort of people, when they've heard of reprices in the past, we're not about just pricing down to the minimum. We're about pricing up as well as down to sort of increase sales, which is what we all want to do, and also increase margins and profits. I think that sort of when we release the eBay thing, which is coming in the next sort of month or two, sort of August 2017.
Cool.
Will be very similar to that when you use sort of categories and IBANs, things like that, to actually identify products. And then once again, you'll be able to set strategies on how we're actually going to sort of target those products. So if a merchant's never used a repricer before, I definitely recommend giving the eReprice 14-day trial a go. Just put in no obligation. Just jump on there, 14 days, you'll see a really good increase in sales. Some of our merchants have seen a 20% uplift in sort of margins in a month, and up to 40% increase in sales. So, we're talking sort of...
reasonable, considerable figures, really.
Because the thing is, if you were to update your pricing manually in the morning, within half an hour, even sooner, that pricing is outdated again, even if it's a couple of pence. There's a chance the competitor is winning those sales. You're not. So
that is one of the big points that I've seen, and I think a few years ago, maybe not so much now, but reprices seem to get a bit of bad press. This whole race to the bottom talk was going on, and that's because I know in sort of my experience where I was doing some consultancy work, there was these very basic reprices which were very simple. They would just go down, and either by a penny or by 5p every time that they'd match a price and then go 5p under it, and then if you came to an example where you had two sellers using the same tool, they just constantly go 5p under each other until they either hit the bottom or hit 1p, which I have seen in a few cases in the past years ago. Yeah, exactly. And like you said, that sort of gave reprices a bad name, but what actually eReprice is doing is pricing up as well. So you're, like you say, optimizing the price to, I'm guessing, win the buy box on Amazon.
Exactly that, yeah, exactly. So it's a case of, we'll monitor competitors, and for example, depending on how you set your strategy, if a competitor goes down too low, we'll just pump the price back up again. If we can identify they're using a sort of a competitor repricer or any repricing tool, we sort of look at that and go, right, okay, we need to be increasing the price here to sort of nudge it up. That's something that we're starting to actually integrate a lot more now, where we're going to start to put analytics in there that actually monitor your competitors that are using tools like repricers. So we can say, look, they're using a repricer. Let's build a strategy purely against that competitor. So we're going to increase, sort of revenue and profits on that particular product. It's something that takes a few sort of weeks to actually build up the data for us to actually, work efficiently. But you'll pretty much, most merchants see an increase within the first day. It's I always refer to it as sort of the black magic.
Well, it is because I've seen it myself. Again, back in consultancy days a few years ago, people would message me and go, Dave, I don't know what's happened, but all of a sudden I've sold 20 in the past hour when I'd perhaps sell 1 or 2. And I'd always say, have you got the buy box? And then they'd log in and go, yeah, we got the buy box. And it was like, that's the power of the buy box. I think the last sort of stats that I saw, and it was about 80% of all purchases on Amazon happened through the buy box.
Yeah.
And that is, you can't argue with those stats. So if eReprice is helping you get to the buy box, and then helps you keep it whilst maintaining as high a profit as possible, it's almost a no-brainer.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the way I think go back to the zombie thing. One thing that I've noticed as well with a lot of Amazon listings now is the sort of additional sellers button is starting to disappear a little bit.
Yes.
It's starting to get moved down and out of the way. So if you're not in that buy box position, I think it is 70-80%, like you say.
Yeah.
I would imagine that in the very near future, it's going to be pushing 90-95%. If you're not in that buy box, you're not going to get the sales. So using a repricing tool is, you can't not use one in my opinion. I think you're going to see that increase in sales, and you're going to see that increase in margins over time as well. So it's a double win for a merchant for sure.
Absolutely. So how does eReprice deal with Amazon, not the marketplace, but Amazon the retailer?
Yeah, definitely. So the one thing that we do have a tool is that we can actually sort of target either Amazon directly or ignore Amazon as a seller altogether.
Oh, okay.
As we all know, that sort of Amazon does monitor sales. So if you're selling a product, a lot of a product, there's a very good chance that in a couple of weeks' time, days' time even, Amazon will buy that stock in themselves, undercut you massively, and just shift the boxes. So what we can do is we can, just as one of the basic strategies, is just ignore Amazon altogether.
Right.
So don't try and compete with Amazon. Just let Amazon sell those products out as quickly as they can, and then come straight back into it, and get those sort of increased margins. Or we can just target directly Amazon. If you want to not worry about other sellers and just after Amazon on a particular SKU, you could do that. That tool also works for individual merchants. So if you have a particular competitor that you want to just target, or once again ignore, this can be defined in the strategy to say, look, I want to ignore this particular seller, and then we'll just ignore that they're even there, or we can just target them as the main competitor on that product and say ignore every other merchant. It's a really handy tool, especially the Amazon tool.
That's really cool, because like I said, the number of times you see, nailed it, Amazon will buy fast-moving stock, sell it themselves, obviously due to the buying power, they can get the best price. You might then be selling at a loss in order to compete. Let them flog it, and then as soon as they sell out, you reacquire the buy box. Happy days. That momentum from the Amazon sales will carry on over the listing, and brilliant. It's a very, very good feature. I like that.
One thing that just to throw in at this point as well, one thing a lot of merchants kind of get wrong a little bit when it comes to repricer is when they're predefining their minimum and maximum prices. The minimum price, so many merchants say to me, I don't want to sell at that minimum price. And it's sort of like, right, okay, but you have to define the minimum price as a price that you're willing to sell that product for.
Yeah.
If I was to ring you up and say, I want to buy that product at that price, you should be willing to sell it me at that price and not feel sort of cheated as such. You've undersold the product. I think that's one thing a lot of people do with reprices. They put that price really low, and that's where that race to the bottom comes. I'm losing so much margin. You're putting your minimum price too low. So that's where keep your maximum price realistic as well. So don't put a laptop that's worth 300. don't put your maximum price as 2,000 because it will never sell at that level. People do it. So my sort of biggest sort of recommendation for people when using sort of an eReprice platform is to set your minimum and maximum prices to realistic prices you're happy to sell those products at, and then let in the middle sort you the additional margins out. So that's something.
And that is something which I've seen so often, is that people think minimum price is cost price, but you're not taking into account your Amazon fees, the payment processing fees and shipping and handling fees and all the rest of it. And before you know it, you're making a loss. And you think you're selling at your minimum. Your minimum isn't that. You need to be making profit. So you need to account for packaging, handling fees, and listing time and all the rest of it. So I totally get that. Your minimum price.
We've noticed that
leave a bad taste in your mouth, really.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, one thing that we've noticed recently that Amazon have allowed sort of an extra field in the file that we get from Amazon when we download your inventory at the beginning, is the sort of the fees that are going to be your sort of referral on there. So what we're going to do is we'll release really shortly, probably with the eBay sort of deployment that we're doing, is a way of sort of, if you were to enter your, we have a field called base price, which you can enter, like for example, you can enter your cost price in there, and then apply margins to using your strategy and things like that. So we're going to sort of basically put some sort of parameters in there that say, look, we think you're going to probably lose money on this at that minimum price, or you're only going to make money. So it's another sort of tool that we're going to add in there very, very shortly. That's just going to be that extra sort of safety net for merchants that might make an error, which we all do.
Absolutely, maths is not my strong point at all. So if you can make it super simple for me and go, Dave, you're going to lose 2% on this, or you're going to make 5% on this, you've just made my life a lot easier.
Exactly, yeah. It's just kind of pointed out those potential mistakes that we all make when we're dealing with large inventories. It's bound to happen. So we're just trying to put things in there that are just going to, sort of help the merchant. If they want to use them, you don't have to use them for sure. But if they are there, if you decide, this is a good idea, let's go for it. So yeah.
So where did the idea for eReprice come from? Was this back from your selling days when you were on drop shipping, or was it something else?
Exactly. Yeah. So when we were back at drop shipping, we used a repricer. But like I mentioned, the repricer we were using just priced down. So it was great. We did see an increase in sales, but all we saw was that our margins were just dropping off the board and they were never coming back. So we'd have competitors that would obviously be using a repricer too, and we're dropping that price down. So I always thought, even through the sort of the zombie days, I was thinking, there's definitely something there. I mean, eReprice, we spent around 12 to 18 months in sort of research and development. The tool took a long time to sort of come up with an idea, algorithms that were going to be the most effective. Then we built it all and put the security features in. Like I say, it really came from back when I was a merchant, and I knew the problems that I was facing, and I thought, I want to create a tool and a company that is going to really help merchants in a sort of simple way. The application, although how powerful it is, for an actual merchant to use it, once you've set it all up, it's pretty much turnkey. People register, they use it, log in maybe once a week, just update the new products, and we do all the hard work. When you register, you get an account manager on board, and we're there all the way. So. I say, I know I'm going to say it, but it's such a great tool.
So it came from your own pain point, basically, and I'm guessing the software that you had used, back in the dropshipping days, were unwilling to sort of innovate or add features that you were after.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that we really sort of pride ourselves on doing is adding features that are requested by merchants. I'm not saying that we can add everything, because depending on how big the job it is, but we have merchants, we have really good relationships that have been with us from pretty much day one, that have built half the application for us in ideas. Like this idea, we like this idea, and we go, I can see that being useful for everybody. So, we look to implement it, and we do action it quite quickly. So, like you said there, the the repricer software that I used back in the day, I made suggestions, and they were sort of like, well, we can't do that. So that's one thing that I do pride myself on in our sort of business ethics, that we do listen to merchants. And if it's a big job, we'll say, look, we can see the benefits, but it's not going to be for a few months, or it's going to be longer than that. But but it gets added to that list of potential features that we will come to get. So
yeah, of course, because at the end of the day, it's helping you build a better solution, and it keeps customers happy. It's a win-win. It does amaze me how many businesses do not go to their own customers for feedback or advice or things like that. It's something that I try and do quite often is ask our sort of customers, our users, what do they want to see, and what would they find useful, because like I said, they're the ones paying the bills at the end of the day. And
exactly that. Yeah, so one thing that we sort of pride ourselves on as well is that whenever you speak to somebody here at eReprice, although we have a professional relationship with all our merchants, we also offer a very friendly relationship. We like to get to know a merchant and have that sort of conversation. We don't want to just have if you want a 5-minute quick conversation to get something sorted, we're going to do that. We're not going to draw a conversation out. But if you want to have a bit of a chat, let's get to know you a little bit more, how we can help you. If there's any sort of features that we think, you may find this really useful, we will do. And I think that's something we're losing quite a lot nowadays in a fast-paced industry. It's just that person that you can have a bit of a chat to.
I think that's probably one of your biggest selling points, is that alone, because I'm struggling to think of many businesses that still have that. It's a lot of live chat these days, and like you said, people with flow charts on the other end.
Exactly.
You have this problem, no, right down here. So that human element is definitely, like I said, people like to do business with people, and if they have an account manager, they can ring up and go, "All right, John, having this issue with such and such a listing. What should I do?" And you've got a human on the other end who can sort of look at the back end and go, "All right, yeah, that's do this, that, and the other." Happy days. So with that said, Luke, what is your vision for the future in terms of eReprice? Where do you see it 2, 3, 5 years? What's the plan? What's the roadmap?
What's the roadmap? Yeah.
As the buzzword goes. Yeah.
The buzzword, yeah. So realistically, sort of the plan is to obviously continue to grow. We are currently just a repricer. So we've obviously got eBay coming really, really shortly. We've got an integration currently with SKU Cloud, which I haven't mentioned, which is a free integration. So if you're not selling on SKU Cloud, but you've seen the marketplace flub it about, we offer a free integration where you can sort of take your Amazon listings and put them directly onto SKU Cloud. It's completely free to use.
Fantastic.
I'm sure you probably put a link somewhere to SKU Cloud and sort of. But say as another marketplace to sell on, the Flubbit marketplace / SKU Cloud marketplace is a great, and it's free to sell on as well. So definitely check out that one. We've got more marketplaces that are coming. I can't say too much, but we've got a few other tools that we're going to be adding on there that are going to be really useful to merchants. One thing that we sort of strive ourselves on as well is the fact that we're not going to sort of overcharge sort of merchants for using our services. I mean, currently our packages start at £15 a month for hourly repricing, and for then sort of instant repricing is £35 a month. We're really sort of cost effective now. We don't plan to go ridiculous as we add more features. We're sort of going down the whole sort of plug-in kind of route. So if you want to use a particular part of the tool, everything's available now. Add it on, exactly, yeah. And they'll be affordable as well to do that sort of thing. So that's kind of our platform. We want to keep it like that. Sort of the more merchants that come on board and support us, we hope to keep the pricing sort of relative. So it's kind of good cost, good value for money, good customer support. We don't want to lose that. And we're just going to keep adding features, adding marketplaces, adding these new strategies. When you guys come up with things, let us know. We can add that to the list of things that we're going to add, and just basically build a tool that is kind of, designed by people like yourselves.
By sellers.
By sellers, by people that are actually using the tool day in, day out. Still now, I'm learning things about Amazon all the time because I'm actively selling on it. So it's, we listen to merchants. Without that feedback, it kind of makes that road, the roadmap, sort of harder to build. Whereas when we've got feedback, we can build it better. So, we're flying down the road. So,
I do say, there's a lot, anything to do with e-commerce, online in this day and age, the roadmap can't really go that far ahead because so much of it is just reacting to what happens.
Exactly that. Such a fast-paced industry as we all.
Literally, I just heard like half an hour ago, Amazon are looking to acquire Whole Foods over in America, which they're just going after Walmart so hard right now. Amazon Fresh here in the UK is getting bigger and bigger. So exciting things happen every day. But to go back to what you just said, I'm amazed at the pricing, Luke, to be honest, because I remember a few years ago there was a repricer like yours we were dealing with, or sort of in talks with to potentially do some partnership work for, and their pricing was ridiculous. And like I said, their big thing was, oh yeah, we don't just go down, we go up. I was like, all right, yeah, that's cool. And it's like, yeah, so it's like £100 a month for like the base level, and then if you want the real time stuff, it's like £400-500 a month. And I was like, that is out of reach of so many sellers who actually need your tool more than anyone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just felt they had their target audience all wrong and their price point way off.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we sort of like our sort of target sort of merchant, really. I mean, although we can we can manage any size.
Yeah.
We like to work with sort of the the SMB kind of market.
Yeah.
More medium business people, like myself when I started out in the game, people that we can help grow. It's great. I mean, I've got customers now that have gone self-employed because they've started using our software and seen such an increase, which is absolutely amazing to hear. Yeah. And they're the people I like to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, our pricing is, in my point, is reasonable. It's very competitive. To say that we offer what we offer as well, support-wise, is pretty good, if I do say so myself.
No, I would totally agree with you. And at that level of pricing, it won't take long for the tool to pay for itself. You use the tool correctly and use the repricing tool properly. For me, like I said, no-brainer. Just like the zombies, no-brainer.
Yeah, that's it. The 14-day trial. It's one of those. Give the 14-day trial. If it will work for you in that 14-day trial, you will pay for your first month subscription from additional sales. Pretty darn sure. If you've got good inventory and you put good minimum, maximum prices in, you're going to be making extra money. You probably pay for the tool in a day. Of additional margin that you made. So, 14-day trial, no obligation. You register, you enter your Amazon credentials, like secret keys, everything like that. We pull your inventory down, you set the strategy, set it all up, and away you go. And that's it. 14 days, completely free, and then pretty sure you'll stick with us and keep making those extra sales. So, yeah.
Well, can't argue with that. I'm sold. So,
that's it, yeah.
Anyone watching this right now, how do they get in touch if they have any questions, or where did he go to find out more? How did he sign up? All that good stuff.
Brilliant. Right, so if you visit eReprice.com, you'll see loads of sign-up buttons now, so you can just sign up, run through the process, and you just follow the how-to guides on there. You can email me directly at luke@eReprice.com or info@eReprice.com. You can grab us on live chat, by the phone, literally any method. You can Instagram me.
Send a letter.
We can pop in for a cup of coffee. However you want to do it, guys. That's something as well. Just to come back to it. We are starting to do a lot of training in our offices as well. So it won't just be on the actual repricing tool. It'll be sort of on the Amazon Marketplace.
We've
got some sort of things set up now. So if anyone's interested in that as well, by all means ping me an email. It's sort of in the just setting it up now. But if anyone is interested for that, by all means let me know, and we can send you more information on that when we're ready to release it.
Sounds brilliant. And what I'll do as well, all the links that Luke has mentioned, I will put in the description below. You can just click show more. They'll all be in there, and you can, like I said, get in touch and get started with that free trial. Now, Luke, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. The one question that I ask every entrepreneur who comes on the channel is, for anyone watching this right now who may not be a seller or who may be looking to get started, maybe selling online, maybe doing something completely different.
Yep.
A budding entrepreneur, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to them?
I would say if you have an idea, my biggest bit of advice is speak to people. Speak to friends, family, random people. Look at if you look in your local area, there'll be like business meetups, and go and speak to people about your idea. Run it through with them. Say, what do you think to this? And sort of my additional advice to that would be is, if somebody comes back to you with a negative, can you answer that negative and make it into a positive? Because if you can't, it's worth re-looking at that part of the idea. Yeah. I think if people keep if people keep saying yes to you, and that's a great idea, that's the worst type of feedback you can get. You want to get people that are going to challenge you on it. If they challenge you on that idea, you can sort of think, right, okay, do I have an answer for that? If not, how can I find an answer for that and make my product or the products I'm looking to sell, the margins I'm making, will it work? So many people nowadays come up with ideas and keep them to themselves. And I think that's, you know, is not a good idea. You know, speak to people, get your idea in front of people that may use your product or may buy from you in the future, and see what they've got to say about it.
I totally agree with that, and you hit a point right there, which I totally agree with. Some people value their ideas at millions of pounds before they've even done anything with them, and are so scared to give them away or to like mention them out loud in case someone steals it and goes and does something with it. At the end of the day, if the sole value of what you're trying to do is in an idea and not in how you're going to execute it, the business probably isn't going to work anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm with you, Luke. Share the ideas, get feedback, ask questions, and let people ask you tough questions. Absolutely. If you can't answer them, get back to the whiteboard and find the answer.
That's it. Exactly that. You know, I think which one thing that people forget about is that when you have an idea or a business, you don't just create it overnight and then everybody's buying your product. You know, that happens in very, very few cases where things go viral or you've got millions of pounds of marketing. So if you tell somebody about your idea, like you said there, unless they've got the same passion as you have for it, or millions of pounds worth of marketing budget, you know, they're not going to succeed as much as you potentially could do. Run your idea past people, speak to people, get their feedback, like you say, back to the whiteboard, and away you go.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Luke, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure, and for chatting about eReprice and zombies and everything else. It's been fantastic. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, Dave. Thank you.
No worries. And thank you for watching this channel. And if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you are new. Don't forget to check out all of Luke's links down in the description. And if repricing is something that you're not doing or are doing, go and check out eReprice, because it sounds like they're definitely onto a winner. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. And yeah, nothing else to say, but thank you once again. See you next time.